I'm just waking up, getting out of bed. I'll tell you something. This, this, the chronic pain I'm in, this device that I wear every night, this is so painful. I wear this device because of the damage that an orthodontist did to me. Nobody could figure out why I couldn't sleep. I already had trouble sleeping. They were misdiagnosing that as anxiety. Then I had got braces on my teeth. And immediately my sleep got much worse. Nobody could figure it out. That what they did was move my jaw back. The orthodontist removed way too many teeth, made my jaw smaller, and moved it back, making my breathing issues worse and immediately making my sleep crisis level. And that was immediately misdiagnosed as a mental health issue. That continued on for decades. No one could figure it out. And my sleep, it's such a disaster here, it's hard to even describe it to people. So now I've been wearing this for a couple months, and this is precarious. It's a precarious situation because this is super painful wearing this every night, but it's actually helping me. It's actually helping me to a degree, and the first 3 months I've been wearing this for 3 months. For 3 months, it's been excruciating pain. The device is starting to loosen up and wear down, which is making it less painful. But also I got a problem because it's starting to wear out. And then I just find out you're supposed to replace them every 3 months or so. So this may be finished soon. And I could see it's wearing down. The edges are wearing down and stuff, and and this little knob that keeps the jaw forward might eventually just stop working or break down or break off. So it's a precarious situation. So I'm wearing this because of the damage, serious damage that an orthodontist did to me. I'm wearing this. This is a prosthetic turbinate. Prosthetic turbinates. Take that tape off. It's cotton rolled up. So these are rolled up in little balls inside the nose. These are prosthetic turbinates. I had a sinus surgery 14 years ago. That caused chronic pain. 14 years of chronic pain and suffering. And I never understood why. Why am I in so much pain after this surgery? I'm having difficulty talking because I'm in so much pain. And I just got out of bed and all these symptoms are bombarding me. So, anyways, I'm so distracted by all the pain and the symptoms. So, anyways, 14 years chronic pain. I couldn't understand why do I have excruciating pain? Why am I in so much sinus pain? For years, doctors were giving me opioids on and off for the sinus pain. I would go to my pharmacy and the pharmacist would say to me, why are you, just out of curiosity, why are you taking the opioids? Because they saw the mess. I didn't understand this at the time, but they saw the mess of all the other drugs that doctors had me on. Here's what people don't know. Here's what chronically ill people don't know, or people who are on psych medications don't know. When you're on a mess of powerful psych drugs and you don't know that, I've told some people this in the chronic illness community. This is super important. If you're on a mess of powerful drugs and you don't know what they are and you don't know how powerful they are, and then along comes a car accident or a surgery and you're sent home with opioids, that can put you in a dangerous or deadly position, because now you've got opioids layered on top of the other powerful drugs you're on, which is usually, respiratory depressants, and it'll put you may not wake up the next day. That's the issue. So that's what was happening with the pharmacist. They saw, I didn't know this at the time, but they could see all the other drugs that I was on, and they're like, gee, why are you on opioids now? And because they could see the potential, it was like a prescribed, it wasn't like a prescribed, it was an overdose of drugs. It was too many powerful drugs. So that could take your life. So I've told people in the chronic illness community, especially, as you're getting older and stuff, and they're putting you on more medications, and if you're chronically ill, you could go in for a very simple surgery and not come home, or come home and be taking if you're being given opioids, not make it out of, not survive. You survive the simple surgery, but not survive the painkillers afterwards. So I've had people tell me they've actually weaned off of some of the medications that they're taking day to day, because they know they're headed long-term medications they've weaned off of, because they know they're chronically ill. They've got a degenerative disease, and they're headed towards more surgeries. Because there can be powerful medications that we're on that are not necessary. Like for myself, I weaned off of everything. There can be doctors, all my doctors told me that all the drugs that I was on were necessary, that I needed to be on them for the rest of my life. None of that was true. I weaned off of everything. So that's how people run into trouble with, complications, right? Well, there are people smart enough to see those complications before they happen. And what that can be is a mess of powerful drugs that are all contraindicated for each other. They shouldn't be all prescribed together. But then, the surgeon is like, well, what else are you going to do? Well, family doctors or the doctors managing your chronic disease, if it's told to us this way, then we're better able to make decisions for ourselves and go and say to ourselves, well, if I'm going to go in, you know, for a broken arm, if I get a broken arm in a car accident, or, I need my gallbladder out or whatever, and this is going to put me in serious danger, then I'd rather wean off of some of these medications, years prior. Anyways, so I had this sinus surgery, and repeatedly being given opioids, and my pharmacist is going, well, why are you on opioids now? Well, sinus pain. And she's like, well, why are you in such pain with your sinuses? And I'd say, I don't know. And she'd say, well, they shouldn't be just prescribing you opioids for. And I said, what's an opioid? I didn't know. This was like 15, 20 years ago. This was before the opioid crisis. No, it was 14 years ago. Started 14 years ago because of surgery. Our opioid crisis here started maybe, well, probably 10 or around the same time as that. So people were just learning what an opioid really was. So, I mean, I had been repeatedly given opioids, and I didn't know what they were. And she said, well, that doesn't sound right that you're being given opioids for sinus pain. What's the issue? And I'd say, I don't know. I'm just in severe, severe pain. And so this continued. And then, it ticks me off because I would be saying to my doctors, I can't breathe from, there's something wrong with my breathing and drugs. So I was suffering from respiratory depression from the drugs, not just the opioids, but from all the drugs that I was already on. And I didn't really know what was happening, because I thought, well, if you're telling your doctor that I'm struggling to breathe and your doctor's just looking at you and doing nothing, then I assumed he didn't know what the reason was. But you know what? In retrospect, there's no way that he didn't know that the drugs were actually harming me. But anyways, I just started wearing this a couple months ago. What the surgeon did was cut way too much out of my sinuses and cut these sinuses wide open, cut big holes in these sinuses. And there's way too much air passing through, drying them out, bleeding. They're dried out and bleeding and stuff. And at night, it's especially bad because during the day I can mouth breathe, right? During the night, I'm being forced to breathe through my nose to try to keep my airway open. So my sinuses are being dried out and excruciating pain. And I've been wearing this for a few months now. This is literally saving me from excruciating pain. I'm explaining to you all the awful things I am having to do because of medical damage. The third one, I'll do another video. The third one, chronic pain caused by medical. I'm waking up from all this chronic pain and wearing these devices